Hello, and welcome to the Secret Tiger Studio, where the episodes of Across the Table are filmed. Well, not filmed, but I don't know the word. Recorded, I suppose. And uh, not the whole thing, just my parts. Well, Thanksgiving Day, I did have a visit at Mother's, along with Mrs. Tiger, and we had the most wonderful time. Ate quite a lot of uh, food. It's only appropriate on a day when we give thanks for plenty and celebrate heaven's providence for us, which makes it sound nice and American and sort of pilgrimish and secular. It's not. We give thanks for God's bounty, not something impersonal. Well, I have been the recipient lately of a large number of gifts, and I am grateful for all of them, and I thank all of you who brought them to me. I'm more than grateful just to see you, that you come bearing gifts is amazing to me. That you even watch these things is amazing to me. But you do, and whether it is out of the goodness of your heart, which I believe to be considerable, or if it is out of sheer chance and boredom that you find yourself here, welcome. Glad to have you. One of the gifts that I received when we got that recent shipment of pipes from Manfred Hortig. And he even told me to choose a pipe for Mrs. Tiger because Christmas was coming on. Manfred and Angelica are incredibly sweet people. And I do try to make sure that he has some Cades Cove Cavendish to smoke through the year. It is, I think, his favorite tobacco. Well, it's the favorite tobacco of most of my customers. All of that said, I have a pipe here from Manfred, and I'm going to smoke it for the very first time in this video. And we'll talk just a bit about first bowls full. But first I want to show you this lovely pipe. Angelica makes the bags, and they are stamped with Manfred's initials, MH. And here is the little pipe. On the sides, both sides, those are ammonite fossils. And on the bottom is a trilobite. And what an interesting little face it makes also, with two buggy eyes and a button nose, but a rather oversized button and a silly grin. Well, perfect. The stem is that sweet little piece of acrylic, amber-colored, orange amber-colored. And unlike most of Manfred's pipes or whistles, pfeifen, this one does not take a filter of any sort. He must be thinking of me. Well, I know that he is, off and on. So, first bowlful. Ole Larsen, God rest him, was a fine man and a giant in the pipe business. And he always recommended that one use a neutral flavored pipe tobacco, preferably with burley, to form the beginnings of the cake in a pipe. And of course, that's the first bowlful. Now, I may not be smoking this pipe the whole time that we're talking. Just depends. If it turns into more of a smoke than a talk, I'll ring off, I promise. I have chosen Newfound Blend, which is Burley Virginia mix, for the first bowlful here. I'm going to use the old mush and squink method of loading. I've done a video on that called The Old Mush and Squink. And I'm told now that because I've reached a certain number of subscribers, I can put a link to videos in a card which would be appearing here. I haven't figured out how to do that, so it won't be appearing here or there or down there either. It won't be appearing at all. And I do want to say one further little word about that, just coincidentally. There are a few more now than 3,000 of you watching, subscribed. Well, that does mean something to me. And I never thought that it would. And it doesn't mean what a person might think. This isn't a commercial undertaking to me. If it were, boy, would I be celebrating 3,000 subscribers. Because things happen at that point. There are things that you can take advantage of if you wish to monetize your videos. But, and don't think it hasn't crossed my mind. It has. I could use the money if, if it were a significant amount. But that's not why I undertook this. I didn't undertake it as a game. uh, I just decided to make some videos to talk to people, uh, people that care to listen, to give them a little more of my time when I had the time to give it, which is why you haven't seen a video or much of one from me of late. I apologize for that. Well, now there are 3,000 of you, and it makes me grateful to all of you. It amazes me that you would want to take the time to listen to this old man. And so I thank you. I thank you very kindly indeed. I doff my hat to you. Well, pipes loaded. Let's have a first light, shall we? You're welcome to join in where you are if you can. As you can probably tell, this is quite an easy draw. The smoke is cool, but one would expect that just on the light up, you know. And especially with something like, with something like Newfoundland. I've become more clumsy lately. All part of growing up, I suppose. Growing old, which is different than growing up. Do you know, I have a story to tell you. You've stuck with me for almost 13 minutes now, and probably have a story coming. I had gone to my friend Corvus's birthday party. He was living in a little house way across the county from me. And so I got on my Honda and I rode out to his place for the party. And we all had a wonderful time. There were snacks and sodas, and there was some music. Wasn't any dancing, but that's all right. And lots of lively talk. And my back began to bother me sharply. And so I excused myself, and I got on my bike, and I began the ride back to my home. Now, I mentioned that it was a party, and I mentioned that I was on my little red Honda, a Honda Helix, 250cc scooter. I didn't have to throw my leg over it, and that was a blessing, considering my condition. And but it would go fast enough to kill me thrice. Now, what I was wearing was a red Chinese silk shirt jacket. the sort of Chinese pattern with the standing collar and the fancy fasteners. Because it was a party. Well, I make it about 4/5 of the way home, and I pull off at this gas station in Sevierville on Highway 66. And I'm hurting so bad I can hardly think at that point. And I buy myself a small cup of coffee. They said it was coffee. It didn't taste anything like coffee. It tasted like recycled motor oil with battery acid for a kick. It was horrible. And it was hotter than hooey. Well, I also got myself a donut because if you drink coffee like that, you should have a donut for getting through it. And I was standing there in front of the store, standing by my bike, and looking up into a distant point in the sky. Just about 8 degrees above the horizon. Now, the reason I was looking up into nowhere is that when my pain is at its worst, I am pretty sure that the expression on my face is, I want to murder you. Well, I don't want to murder anyone. Not at all. And I don't want people to think that I want to murder them. Because I don't want to. So I was looking off into nowhere, not making eye contact with anyone, eating my donut, drinking my coffee, standing by my bike. And the car parked beside me. A young man, I guess he's about 18, rolls the window down, leans across the car from the passenger seat, and rolls the window down. And he says to me, man, I've just got to say, you're the coolest man I've ever seen. What do you say in a moment like that? It caught me quite off guard. I knew that it took a huge amount of courage for that young man to say that. He had to believe that I wouldn't belittle him. But he ran that risk. And I looked at him, I looked him in the eye. All murder gone from my face. And I said, with all of my seriousness, all of my sincerity, thanks. And I went back to drinking my coffee and eating my donut. Fighting with all of my being for self-control. I finished donut, most of the coffee, threw the cup in the trash, got on my bike, and began to ride away. I made it to the edge of the gas station's parking lot. Before I began to laugh, I hadn't laughed like that in ages. It was a soul-liberating laugh. It was a magnificent laugh. It was the kind of laugh that freed my mind from the prison of pain. I thank God for that young man's bravery. I thank God for that red Chinese silk shirt. Whatever it was that made him decide to say that, I thank God for it. Because I laughed all the way home. It was another 10 miles. And I laughed and laughed and laughed. And I laughed some more when I got home and told Mrs. T the story. Well, I'm not laughing now. I'm marveling instead. I marvel that the young man would think such a thing. Now, do I do things because they're cool? No, they are cool because I do them. I know that. I knew that I would never be cute after, my childhood. So I had to work on being cool. What is that, to be cool? It is to be self-possessed. That is precisely what being cool is. It is open to every person to be cool, to be entirely themselves without fanfare or pretense of any sort, because nothing kills cool like pretense and fanfare. You too can be the coolest person in the world. And for about 5 minutes, I was the coolest person in his world. And I was and am very grateful for that. Well, the good news is when I dropped that pipe, it didn't break. I'm grateful for that too. Well, it's about 25 minutes, and I have surely wasted enough of your time. Thanks as always for watching. I'll try not to stay away so long. Cheers.